How's the Juicy Boys shirt
It's
fit?
great. It fits great. It's perfect. Was this once your shirt?
No, no, no. Tammy was out shopping and found it, and I was like, she was like, "This isn't gonna fit you, but I love it." And I was like, "I know who it's gonna fit."
Well,
Lo
that's
and
it.
behold,
Lo and behold, here we are. This is it. But anyways, just kind of wait 1 second. Let everybody kind of catch up with the ads real quick because I did run a little batch, so everybody's kind of not able to sit in for this for a second. Um, but anyways, so essentially, Ben, what you consider yourself a, a urban planner, correct? Like that's the
um,
grand in the grand scheme of schemes. Like that's what your main passion is. I would say
that's what my passion is. I think it's easier to say urbanist because
urbanist.
I don't actually plan the built environment. So like an urban planner is somebody who works for a city and says like, here's where buildings are going to go. Here's where the new train station goes. Yes, we do approve of this building. No, we don't approve of this building. I don't do it because I work for a micromobility company. But an urbanist is someone who's interested in the way that cities are developed and organized. And that I would call myself an urbanist.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Yeah, because I was watching a video. I forgot who it was by. I should really have that actually kind of pulled up, but it was describing Houston and essentially, exactly what you were saying, that it was the urban planners that planned the city did a horrendous job of planning
Did
it.
you watch
Wait, sorry, you broke up a little bit
was
there.
the YouTube video from Not Just Bikes? Was it from a YouTube account called Not Just Bikes?
Not just bikes. That's the one. Why I hate Houston. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why city design is important. Yeah. It was very interesting. To see like how cities used to be very walkable and very friendly to, I mean, bikes and everything, but they've strove away from that. But anyway, so I mean, that's your main passion. But right now, you kind of work in that. You work at Lyft, and in the scooter department. And to be honest with you, that's all I fucking know. I have no idea what you do from there. I would love to know. And just like where you see that whole like the scooter industry and bikes, where that goes into it. Um, the urbanist planning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Lyft, uh, TBS, transit, bikes, and scooters is basically a portion of Lyft that's dedicated to helping people move around without the need of a car. So it's called first mile, last mile transportation. So in a city like Los Angeles, or a better example, in a city like New York, you would take perhaps a subway from point A to point B, and for that kind of last mile of your trip, you could hop on a bike, a scooter, um, or perhaps call a Lyft, whatever it might be. So that's the ultimate goal. Um, but of course, micromobility, which means scooters and bikes, did not exist 4 years ago. So my job is creating a business in an industry that didn't exist 4 years ago. So it's quite literally building from the ground up. Uh, who replaces the batteries on our scooters? Who fixes them? Where do we deploy the scooters and bikes? Uh, how much do we charge people? Where do we let them ride? Where don't we let them ride? Talking to city governments, hiring staff on our own Lyft team. It's literally building a business in every sense of the word in an industry that never existed until 4 years ago.
And where do you
So
fit
it's
into this machine?
I'm an associate operations manager. So I primarily work on like the internal develop. So I have a co-manager, and she's responsible for our relationships with the city, our relationships with college campuses around, winning contracts and exclusive rights to operate in those areas. And then my role is to organize my team, like the Lyft team, and make sure that they're doing everything correctly and building the business from the inside, whereas she's kind of expanding our reach along the outside.
Okay, okay. So, um, sorry, I just something up real quick. For later. Uh, Interesting. So you also kind of have, I don't know if you still do this actually. You had developing like strategically where scooters should be placed, correct? for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
found that
based on a lot
interesting.
of
How much
data.
of a
Yeah.
fucking struggle is that in LA? Because I mean, it not only is it massive. I don't know how much you took over, but I know you were asking about the ones across from my place. Um,
Hmm.
and how many spots does it even require to do a city that is so, I mean, you could probably agree, horribly designed, for public
Yeah.
transportation?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million. There's no like right or wrong answer. I think generally the right answer is in high density walkable areas. So where you have a lot of buildings, preferably tall buildings, close together. So that way destinations are within that last mile, first mile. So if a person can take a mile trip within that area, it's probably a good place to deploy uh, devices. But there's a bunch of strategies as well. Like you have to consider your competitors. So uh, generally, Bird and Lime and organizations like that are kind of a shotgun method where they just deploy everything they have and just try to swarm an area and become the most obvious provider there. Whereas we're a little bit more intentional. We're not throwing everything we've got at someone. We're trying to maintain a neat, orderly situation with the city that we're partnering with, and try not to just throw up our scooters all over the street, which usually pisses people off. So it's a combination of like, can we compete with thousands of devices in a on a single corner, or is it smarter to specialize in certain areas and just do the job well there?
Okay, interesting, interesting. And as far as LA goes, how I mean, what do you think? Do you think all hope is lost for a city like LA? I mean, it's the
Not
same
at all.
question though. How do you improve on like public transportation and getting some more greenery in here? Because
It's
I don't see
absolutely
it.
gonna.
Well, it
It's gonna
has to.
happen. It's gonna, yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the right answer. It's gonna happen because it has to, and the people in power are aware of that. It's just about changing public perception. I think urban planning is something that is totally unknown to everyone. Like I only discovered it by accident,
Yeah,
and
I
then
only
just felt.
discovered it because of you. I never thought
And
about
the
it.
thing is, the truth be told, it's boring. Like it is, it's discussing. I mean, it has fascinating implications because to take a city like Los Angeles and make it like this warm climate version of Paris, I think is extremely fascinating. But it involves discussion over things like parking and like how do you get rid of parking and where do you put transit stops, and it can get real nitty gritty, which is not very sexy. But to your question, yes, it will happen. The question is how quickly it'll happen. And I know it's going to happen in Los Angeles because Measure M was a public transit bill that was passed a long way back, and that's the reason we have all these light rail stations popping up. The reason that Los Angeles bidded for the to be a host city in the World Cup and, of course, to host the 2028 Olympics was to get international funding for transportation. Because if you're expecting a world's amount of people to attend the games, you have to improve your transportation system. So you'll get international funding to
So
do
is that
just
why we
that.
have the subway
But,
going up all the way to the airport? Is that like part of the
yeah,
payments? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
100%. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and the Olympics is really just an excuse to do what the city wanted to do, which is build a reliable transportation system. Um, because, like, uh, I don't typically work 9 to 5. I have the luxury of working from home a lot. But if I worked 9 to 5, which I have done several days, like I would be wasting 2 hours of my day every day sitting in traffic, which is just a pain in the ass. Not to mention how much it costs to waste gas, refill your tank, own a car in the first place. If you could live without a car, you'd save a shit ton of money. There's a million ways that ditching the car, relying on public transport and affordable transportation options like bikes and scooters is great, and people understand that. City officials understand that. Even real estate developers win that way. So the money is behind it. It's just about changing public perception, which is yeah, understandably not there yet.
Do you think that it's going to be like this is something they've been knowing and been pushing against? Because I mean, obviously they've been doing not a great job, or this is a new founding thing that they're like, okay, this is why these cities used to be designed this way, and we should go back to it. Um,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
mean,
newly
especially in
discovered.
Louisiana, like whenever I watched that Houston video, I was like, wow, that's so true. Like, there's nowhere to walk in Louisiana. Like in my
Mm-hmm,
hometown, you are walking in grass, and if you got to go
mm-hmm.
somewhere, and there is no walking. you have to own a car. We were practicing driving whenever I was 15 in parking lots of AMC, which we'll also get to later, your thoughts on those. But anyway, I know you love parking lots. But anyways, yeah, it's I was wondering if it was something to fight against also because they of the automobile industry, so you got to expect some
100%.
pushback.
Yeah.
What I mean, so do you think that LA is just a rare form, or that Houston is just a rare form, or no?
No. So like to your original question, yeah, I think it's something that has been recently discovered by the cities as well, and maybe not even like fully understood. Like I think they're just mayors who are willing to listen to experts. I don't think it's necessarily in the city where the expertise is. I think they're just like tuned in to other experts and willing to believe them in terms of like changing their cities from car dependency. Um, it's new. That was your first question. The other one was what was the other one?
The Give me one sec, give me one sec, give me one sec. You know, this is why I should have a pen and paper and write my shit down. That's a lot. I already got a lot to
But
keep up
you
with.
did say you did say in
Um,
Louisiana there's nowhere
oh
to
no,
drive.
the pushback for cars and everything, like the automobile industry.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
pushback
yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely exists. I mean, I think that's more in the form of like, for instance, there was a year the car lobby definitely had Chris Christie in their pocket, and there was a year when the federal government gave I don't know the exact number millions of dollars, potentially $1 billion, to the state of New Jersey to improve their transit, and Chris Christie spent $0. Um, and there was like no question as to why. So I mean, it's quite simply like yeah, parking like sorry, not parking. Car companies understand the threat that this imposes on them, and will persuade politicians not to dedicate funding to transit bills and stuff like that. So it's typically only progressive cities right now that are doing it. But kind of to back up your point about it recently being discovered, like that's in the past maybe 5 to 7 years, like very recently, Seattle, Austin, Denver, LA, all passed, Portland,
Probably was
all
there.
passed
Portland, I saw
like
as well.
very new transit bills. So yeah, it's kind of like a new progressive thing to do as people urbanize.
Is there any hope? Because I also wonder, you wouldn't ever deal with like, I mean, outskirt towns, like very, very small, like 10,000 less populate. I mean, some towns even have 500, you know.
Mhm. I
And
think yeah, from a land use perspective, there's a bunch of like things that urban planning is tied into, and one of them is sustainability and environmental conservation. From that perspective, you wouldn't want a bunch of tiny towns dotting around, but you can have an urban village, which is kind of like a quaint, like a suburb could become an urban village if it was this quaint little. If you were to Google image Georgetown, USA, in just
oh
outside
yeah,
of
man,
DC,
yeah.
yeah, perfect example where you have like townhouses and row houses in close proximity together, like sharing walls, maybe 3, 4 stories high. You could have like 5,000 to 10,000 people within 4 square miles. I mean, the city of Santa Monica is 8 square miles. You could, if you just took that and kind of put it further away, it's like perfectly reasonable because you could connect that to a larger city close by rail. So the people in this kind of small little urban village can bike around for whatever they need, and if they need to go to the larger city for work or for whatever else, they can take a train in. So it allows people to have. You don't have to live in a New York City to live in a sustainable urban environment. You can live in a um, smaller town.
So you'd say you're for the most part, you're also very much anti-car unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Anyways, wait, let me make sure. Yeah. So this is Georgetown that I'm showing right here. Just wanted to have a couple of those up. But I also wanted to talk to you on a side note because you have I know we gotta finish you up by 5. Uh, I'll finish you off any day though. That's a different time. Uh, uh, you um you took up boxing. You've been boxing a lot. Are you did you start boxing to fight Jake Paul?
100%. Well, no, Jake Paul started boxing to fight me. I took it up in Seattle. This was long before Jake Paul had ever put on the gloves.
Wait, did you really
And he
do
heard about,
boxing in Seattle?
well, I couldn't afford it. So I used all of those like class passes and those little kind of like free sessions, like 1 week free. And I did it as often as I could, and then I ran out of gyms.
Oh, I thought these were your like very first sessions that you were doing out here.
I mean, more or less, they were. I didn't really get too far in Seattle because there was only so many boxing gyms. Seattle is kind of a not a big boxing city. They're more about
Nice.
coffee and beer and sitting in basements.
Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, how do you think boxing has changed your life? Because I noticed that you've really taken a stride for it, and I obviously don't think you're gonna go pro. I mean, you could, who knows? I mean,
What, dude?
uh,
You kidding me?
uh,
You're gonna crush my dreams here on a live stream?
what?
You're
I mean,
crushing my dreams here on a live stream, man?
yeah, I mean, kinda. No, not really. I think you could do it if you really wanted to. But I mean, do you see yourself going that route? It's kind of my question. Or like, what does boxing do for you? You know?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go pro. I'm 27. It's probably too late for that. Um,
Nothing's ever too
I don't
late.
know. I mean, it was interesting. Like in the pandemic, when I was so stressed or just kind of like stir crazy,
Uh-huh.
everyone was like, "Do yoga or meditate or something like that." But none of the like Zen methods were working. So I went in a completely different direction and decided to just do these large cathartic bursts of aggression and get it all out at once. And it was fantastic. I went to Wildcard today. I'm actually, I put on this sweater and this hat just for you, but my hair is all crazy and sweaty right now
Oh,
because
look at
I
it.
was at Freddie Roach's boxing
Guy's
gym,
such a Chad.
throwing 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 hands. And I
Nice.
met I met this guy, Willie Birdlegs Jensen, who may or may not have spelled his own last name wrong. Because when I tried, he told me to Google him, and when I did, they spelled Jensen entirely differently. But uh, yeah, he was telling me that he wants to train me to go pro.
I mean, you look great. I mean, we can. Yeah, I'm gonna actually pull up some videos of you from your Instagram. Wait, do you have actual videos on your Instagram?
I think I only have one of me throwing a left hook. I think that's it.
I don't know how to spell Benjamin. I'm
Yeah, so
looking at
you
mine.
got fighting experience. Where's yours come from?
Just being a dumbass fucking kid and boxing my buddies in a yard. That's about it. I mean, besides that, just watching. I love watching. I've
Mm-hmm.
been watching like UFC, which I know you're not the biggest fan of because of the ground and pound. Um,
100 pounds.
it's
That's right.
yeah, but you know what? The other day I saw somebody that got knocked out unconscious standing up, and that motherfucker saw he was unconscious and went 8 more times on his head before he finally dropped to the ground. It's just
Wait, he was unconscious standing up.
yeah. I meant to send you the video. I'm gonna go back and find it later. But I mean, he was knocked out against the ropes, and the guy just boom, boom, and then he steps back with his hand on his head and just starts teeing off again. It was great.
Jeez.
Yeah,
See, those guys are
it was horrible.
like
I mean,
I understand
that's
boxers are getting hit in the head nonstop, but like the ground and pound, like you put it, like dude, that stuff is insane.
yeah. I mean, it looks insane from the outside. I can't find your fucking Instagram. Anyways, I'll show him after. But
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
just
I
going
think
through the
you're
comments here. People are reacting. This
yeah,
is amazing.
yeah. Uh, and yeah. Speaking of Lab Learner, would you to answer your question, Jacob, what about Detroit? That's a big place. Yeah, exactly. He's working on. That's the point of the whole thing: is big places like that, how to make them more accessible, to public
Ooh,
transportation.
Detroit is like a super hip topic in urban planning. Wow, you
I
guys,
bet.
I can't believe people are listening to us talk about urban planning. That gives me so much faith and hope.
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, we got some people in here, man. It's interesting stuff.
Detroit,
I wouldn't have asked
Detroit
you if I
is
didn't
like
think it was interesting. I wouldn't have
Detroit
it
is
on.
like a tabula rasa. It's like a blank slate for people to build an entirely new city. So like that's super cool to look out for because like it's when it's done, it's gonna be like unlike any city in the United States. Like it's being built from the ground up right now.
I mean, houses. Apparently, for a while there, you could get a house for like $100, and like
Yeah,
a
I'm
torn down
pretty sure they were
house,
paying
and
people to
it's
stay there.
yeah, they're exactly. It's absolutely insane. So they need to do something. If they do, I'm sure it can be one of the best with the price of land and all that right now.
That's also the mecca for urban farming. That's like they're testing out a lot of ways to take farming into the city, which is really cool. Like growing it, not just like growing it in the city, like replacing what would be a building with a plot of land that is a farm, but like growing it on the sides of buildings. Or vertical farming is this really cool thing, and you can see a bunch of architectural renderings where you have these buildings that are like rotating farms. It's just like so much imagination going into how to grow food in the cities. Um, some insane shit.
Yeah, it's kind of it's got to be hard, especially now, to do it with all the pollution and everything. You can't like I know you're not supposed to really grow too much, like
Mhm.
anywhere near Los Angeles because the pollution is so bad. So it's kind of hard to do with all the cars and all the pollution from it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean vertical farming. I mean, yeah, it also gets into the. I have no idea. I would be talking out my ass if I say anything about it. What do you think about all these other sports, though, like Muay Thai and stuff like that? Do you see yourself doing anything, um, like that? Jiu-Jitsu, any of them?
Jiu-jitsu is the most practical one, right? Isn't that what they say? I think Muay Thai actually also. Those two are the ones that are typically called the most practical, huh?
Yeah, Muay Thai. I mean, because you can use your legs and knees along with the boxing. And
Yeah.
then Jiu-Jitsu because it's grappling and just putting your opponent out in a way of not striking, just putting them out.
Yeah.
So it's but I mean, do you have any interest in ever doing any of those, or you think boxing is just your main thing, your
Yeah,
main
I guess
shtick?
I never really thought too much about it. I mean, I have long ass legs, and I was a soccer player for my like most of my life.
Oh, I
So
think
I
you,
guess the
yeah,
kicking
yeah. This guy's six. What are you? 6'5",
is
six
four,
ten?
6'4".
Yeah, something like that. I assumed you were 6'10" because you're taller than me and I'm 6 foot. Not really. I'm 5'11". I just anyways, yeah, you do have lanky ass legs like me too. We could both probably be pretty damn good kick. I have no flexibility though. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I
Well,
can't
I guess
kick
it's like
to my own head.
I, I really like the aesthetic of boxing. Like, just to be like frank, like if I was looking to be like a practical fighter, like someone who's like well trained in fighting, I'd probably go after jujitsu and Muay Thai. But like boxing is just aesthetically like so fucking cool looking. Like just like two guys duking it out with their hands, trying to have the fastest hands.
Yeah.
So like jujitsu is like probably cool, like to do and stuff like that. But like watching two dudes just grapple around on the ground if you don't understand what's going on is like doesn't really have that badassness.
Yeah. Well, I mean that was the big thing about the last big big fight that they had. Oh, I guess not really the last big. Oh yeah, it was the last big one. Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, the one I sent you, the two Frenchmen. They
Mm-hmm.
both speak French. I was trying to get you to translate because you speak French. Fun fact about Ben. Uh, anyways, they essentially Francis picked up Gane and got an amazing takedown on him 3 different times and like actually did some work on the ground. Like he was moving, he was getting positions, he was going for like heel hooks and leg locks, he was going for submissions. And to most people that want to just see a fucking bloodbath, everybody was like, what the fuck is this? He just keeps throwing him on the ground, and that's it. But I mean, at the same time, no, that was incredible because number one, I mean, he's controlling the fight, by essentially dictating that he's going to go on the ground and that he's going to try all of his different submissions. And number two, this is a guy that's never submitted anybody in his life. I mean, he has, I'm pretty sure, but he doesn't choose to wrestle, and he was choosing to wrestle. So it was like, to the trained eye for jiu-jitsu and everything, you're like, oh my god, this guy is becoming a monster. And yes, he did win, Jacob. He's becoming an absolute fucking savage. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's the other question is, so I mean, you would probably want to do just like a little bit of jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai just to kind of feel it out, get some overall like secure, I mean, safety for yourself at least,
Mhm.
and then stick to boxing. How long do you see yourself boxing for?
As long as I can. I think the better question is like, how long do I see myself sparring for? Because like
Good,
I do have a day job, and I can't really afford to lose a bunch of brain cells.
good point.
So, um, but I love. I mean, to do like I'm sure you've seen this a million times. Like there's in shape, and then there's in fighting shape. Like the amount that it pushes you, and also just like the release of just like being able to just like fucking explode on a bag is just like I think great for mental health. So I want to keep it in my life forever. I feel bad for soccer because I was a soccer player my entire life until a year ago when I started boxing, and immediately I was just like, boom, this is it. Um, so yeah, I love it. I don't want to stop. I got a question.
Yeah.
In UFC, there's a shit ton of like controversy about the pay that those guys get. Like that Dana White takes like I see Jake Paul call him out a lot, saying like the purse that you can win for a boxing match is like tens of millions, and a UFC fight of the same like importance, a fighter might get a payout of like $100,000. Or I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but what's that all about?
I mean, that's just I mean, mostly for the most part, it's just fucking Dana White definitely does take a bit. Uh, but people also got to remember a few things. Number one, I think it's all a big ploy. Jake wants to fight in the MMA eventually, and you're starting to see it. He's working on his kicks. You know,
Yeah, it's all that.
he's doing this, he's doing that. He's he's going for the stretch to be able to go into the UFC. Whenever he gets there, he wants to make big bucks. He wants to make fucking money for the fights that he gets. That's what I think is in the grand scheme. Now that I'm seeing it develop more, which I think is smart as fuck.
Okay,
It's
I
really,
see. I see.
it's interesting. You know, I see where it's going. And even Dana White even said, he did an interview with Nelk Boys, and they asked him. They said, "Could you see you signing Jake Paul to the UFC?" And he was like, "I I don't say never anymore. Ever since I said never to Conor fighting Floyd Mayweather, and they ended up fighting." He's like, "So I can't ever, you know, I'm not gonna say never. You know, we'll see what the
Mhm.
future holds."
Did
Um,
did the did the Conor Mayweather fight that didn't make any money for the UFC, right? That was done outside the UFC.
I'm not exactly sure, but I know. I mean, it made a lot of fucking money, and
Yeah.
for the UFC to let somebody off of their contract to fight somebody else, they got something. I'm assuming
Oh, okay, okay.
something.
I didn't understand that he gave permission, dude. I mean, so
Yeah,
he's
I
got
mean,
like
they
a
had to.
monopoly
They
on
had to.
entire MMA, basically. Like he controls everything going on there.
Yeah, but I mean, there's somebody on the boxing side that nobody just knows their name. He's not the front line, and that's what I was about to get to as well. Is people are acting like Dana White is the owner of the UFC. He is one of three people that like own the UFC together. I forgot their name. It's two brothers, Fratesi or something like that. And also whenever the Fratesi brothers are the ones that bought it, and they essentially just brought him along as a sign up, you know, guy because he knew what he was doing. And he spent a fuck ton of money building the UFC. So I'm sure that they're having to try to recoup some of their losses from buying it back in, I think it was a long time ago. It was like 2006. It was, I can't even remember. It was whenever UFC was like first starting, just not
Mhm.
too long after. And so there's a lot of weird, you know, payments. We don't know where all the money goes. It's definitely not going to the second one. Uh, it's not going to just Dana, you know. And then also they're, nobody, they don't release their pay-per-view numbers, but all their fighters take percentages of pay-per-view sales, you know, and all of them except for, like big titans, which is the same in boxing. Like, if Canelo's going to get more of a percentage of that bag if he's fighting a no name, he's going to get more percentage of the pay-per-view. He's going to. It's just the way it
Mhm.
works. His name is the one that's selling the pay-per-views,
Yeah.
So if Connor's going up there, Connor's selling the pay-per-views, so he's going to get a bigger percentage, and so people are looking at it like that. But anyways, the percentages aren't released usually. You can figure it out. People figure it out all the time. I mean, you just got to figure out what their percentage is. And I've watched a few videos, and I do understand where it is separate. And the UFC fighters are getting paid less than boxers as a whole. But um, when it comes to the scale of things, no, I mean Francis Ngannou missed out on a $700,000 bag just so he could have a chance to maybe fight Tyson Fury, but that's because that's his passion. He originally started out as a boxer. The UFC saw him and was like, "Hey, we think you'd do great here," and he went on to
Mm.
become the heavyweight champion of the world. And he's defended his title now for the first time against somebody that everybody thought was going to run through it. So you know, it's weird. It's not bad enough. The people that are complaining it's bad enough are the same people that would complain that boxer pay isn't good enough, and that's because they're not good enough. They haven't made enough of a name themselves, and unfortunately, I mean, Jake is just essentially press a stamp on it in my opinion, but it was already going like this. Is fighters have to be? They can't just be fighters. They can't just be good fighters anymore. You
They
have
gotta be
to
celebs.
be entertaining. You have to be
Yeah.
celebs. You have to create a WWE story behind all your fights now.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing it. From, I mean, Connor to there was this one guy is Colby Covington. We were talking about him. He
Yeah.
apparently used to be a
Exactly
really
what.
nice
Yeah.
guy. He was about to get cut from the UFC. He had one more fight in Brazil. Before leaving, he called Brazil trash. He called the whole country a fucking garbage can. And his fucking, you can look at his Google Trends. It's Colby Covington, Colby Covington, Colby Covington, Brazil. Boom. It just fucking skyrocketed him. UFC re-signed him. And it's like,
Mm.
you can't just be a good fighter anymore. And he is still been going on to be ranked number 2. He can't be Kamaru Usman, but he's been ranked number 2 for the longest. He doesn't lose except to Kamara. But I mean, but he was gonna get cut because he's not
Yeah.
entertaining.
He wasn't entertaining
You
enough. He
know?
was good enough, but he wasn't entertaining enough. I
Yeah.
also think, to your point about Jake Paul like going into UFC, he's definitely like sowing the seeds for most valuable promotions. His promotions company. Like if he gets into the boxing foray, he can attract his name to a bunch of boxers and get people like Amanda Serrano on his ticket, and then have them sign up for MVP and become part of that promotion company. But then he can also go into UFC and MMA and get those guys on his. Like he can just start this massive promotions company because every fighter is going to know him before they know Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, before they know uh, Mayweather and Al Heyman, and all the other promoters. Bob Arum and Top Rank. Bob Arum's going to die any day now.
Any day.
So
Any
he's
day.
definitely trying to
He's so I
try
don't
and
know how he's
remove
still
him.
going. But
Dude,
how
he's a fucking nutcase. He's Bob Arum is like
it blows my
all of
mind.
the all of the madmen like piece of shit like chauvinist guys like put into a single human being, and
He
he's just like
really
so
is.
unconcerned with like trying to sound good or like be a nice guy. He's just like a complete fuck face with a fat cigar and everything in his mouth. Oh my god.
You gotta
What a
respect a
spirit.
guy like that, though. You gotta
He's just
respect
too
it.
dumb to know what's happening around him. But well, he's
Yeah,
not though. That's the other thing. He's like he's still putting on fights. He's still like running Top Rank supposedly. So kudos to that guy and his endurance.
I mean, fucking props to him. He might outlive us at this point. But anyways, Ben, I have one more. It's kind of a little segment I like to call how does this make you feel? And this is just off the spot. I like to compare it to those pictures where some people see a butterfly and then somebody sees two people fucking. You know,
Mm.
like those little
Yeah.
pictures.
People
So
looking.
I want you to take this picture in and describe to me, what you see.
Wait,
Um,
Chester, I can't see your screen. I've been watching our live stream, which is a little bit delayed.
oh yeah, the live stream is a little bit delayed. Wait, yeah, you gotta go to the live stream to see this one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But anyways,
All right, there's gonna be a delay. There's gonna be a delay in when you put the picture up and when I actually see it.
yes. Once you see the first picture, please just give me a couple of
Oh
thoughts.
God,
Oh, this isn't too delayed.
this is horrible.
So, what do we have? What do you see here?
I see something that isn't housing, that isn't a mall, that isn't a walkable environment, that isn't parks. I see everything it isn't. It's
What?
just such a waste of land.
But what bothers you the most about this?
There's a really long book. This is what I mean when I say urban planning is boring. There's a really long book called The High Cost of Free Parking, and it talks about how parking standards, like the requirements. So when you build a building, it'll be like you need 2 parking spaces per bed in your building.
Yeah.
All of those requirements are just completely made up. Like one city made them just kind of like bullshitting and making a guess. And then every other city just like copied it without being like, oh, well, that city did it. We like, that's probably what we should adopt. So I just see a decision that was made without anyone thinking about it. And
Because this parking lot, I mean, no matter what time of the day it is largely empty.
yeah, most are. There are
Yeah.
4 parking lots for every car in the United States. 4 parking lots for every car.
I was honestly the only reason I picked this picture. I mean, there is so many to choose from of just huge empty parking lots in the middle of nowhere. But I only picked
Mhm.
this one because it matched the PowerPoint perfectly. So yeah, this is the one I picked. But yeah, what do
That
you?
was painful.
I mean, it's what do you think we can do about this? I mean, do you think
Build
we're
on it.
build on it? Yeah, that's pretty much it, huh?
Build on it.
I have a question
Build
though
on
while
it.
we're
Make
looking at
you could
this. Are
fit
you
a small urban village. Remember the urban village I was talking about? You could fit a whole small urban village in that parking lot right there. You could make a tiny little neighborhood. There's something called the 15-minute city, which is like the theory for building a well-designed city, which means everything that is within a neighborhood. So like you have neighborhoods within a city.
mm,
So like we've got K-Town in Los Angeles, we've got DTLA, Santa Monica, West Hollywood, Hollywood. You want to build 15-minute neighborhoods within your city so that everything, if I'm sitting here in West Hollywood, everything I need, my essentials, my groceries, I don't know, what other people get, pills, my drinks, my bike shop, should all be within a 15-minute walking distance. So you could build a whole 15-minute neighborhood in this goddamn behemoth.
yeah, there's probably more of it to the right. There is definitely a little bit more to the left, but I mean,
Oh,
there's probably a lot more to the right. We don't even see the end of the corner out there. But
yeah.
anyways, here's another one. How does this bad boy right here make you feel, huh? What do you see?
Oh. Redlining.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like okay. So there's a book. I don't know if anyone's going to read, but there's a book called
Oh, please.
"The Color of Law," which just talks about how like there was just like an unhidden. They didn't even try to be secretive about it, but the entire United States government created maps just like this that we're looking at, called redlining maps. And what you see in red is where they basically have these really shitty, dangerous, or like full of like toxic waste. Name your reason why the neighborhood was bad. They would color it red and basically force people of color to live there. Yellow was like, this is pretty bad, so we'll have people of color and low income white people here. And then green was like, this is a beautiful neighborhood. It's got great schools, it's got parks, it's got everything that you want. And that's where they let the white people move. And then at that time, this was like, I don't know, right after World War II, when white flight was taking place. Uh, they would, you in America, you built money through owning a home, and then your home increased in value. So the green places where the homes were steadily increasing in value, and the red places were typically close to the cities where there was tons of like industrial waste and danger and all this other shit.
I'm guessing
What
blue
about
is
blue?
just yeah,
Blue is it's like yeah, another gradient between yellow and green.
yeah. What do
Or
you?
actually, blue might be like business areas. I don't know in this particular map, but green, red, and yellow are always typically the same.
I mean, what do you think? because I mean, a lot of this also is changed. I'm sure these original red line maps, or for sure, the pollution in these areas might not be what they used to be. Things might change. What do you think there is to improve this? And do you think there even is improving? Do you think there's just investing into the red line areas to make it better, raise houses, be able to raise the housing market and go from there? Or do you think integrating is the better part? What do you think? What do you think is a solution? It doesn't have to be right. What's your opinion?
Yeah, the tough part is like the red areas are typically close to downtowns, like the center of the cities, and that's where gentrification is happening. So these areas that used to be undesirable are now, you see luxury condos popping up. So they are actually improving physically, but socioeconomically, they are becoming completely imbalanced, and that's why homelessness is a huge issue in so many cities because you have people who are living in these red areas pretty much abandoned, and folks like, quite frankly, myself, who are moving from suburbs in New Jersey into like dense urban environments into these like high cost of living areas. So the challenge is not improving them physically, but making sure that they become mixed income so that people of all uh, incomes can live within the same environment.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I was wondering because it's also like I was looking at a LA one, and Compton, was of course that area, Inglewood, all that was a redlined area. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then even I think Long Beach was, but I mean, it's uh the fact that they've come predominantly black. I mean, I think that's also a community thing. It's just like I was watching something the other day, and it was talking about how there used to be your Italian neighborhoods, your
Yeah.
Irish neighborhoods, your this and that. You feel more comfortable with your kind of people. So I was wondering, if yeah, so integrating more. So you would disagree probably with uh like say, well, no, that's a bad example. Um, do you think it would be better for somebody that is in that area if they have the money to get a new home to relocate into one of those higher areas, or to invest more and get a better home where they are? But
A good question. All right. I know the like the in terms of like segregated neighborhoods and living with you like quote unquote your people um, is like there have been instances where they'll take like what's it called uh, section 8 no where they give like a housing voucher to someone and they say like here is your housing voucher, the government will pay for your housing, and like you can move to like a green neighborhood, basically, in like a basic sense. And people will move there, but then these low income folks are near like their only grocery store is a Whole Foods, and the only gym is an Equinox. And like just because you put them in that neighborhood doesn't mean they can actually afford to live in the neighborhood. Like even if you pay for their rent. Um, so it's like there is no good answer. And actually, this person, it's Lab, just said I'm interested to his
yeah,
solutions against gentrification, pushing people out. Like there really is no answer right now, which is really shitty. Other than like more government control and Whole Foods is fire. What do you mean? Whole Foods is also wicked expensive.
yeah,
Uh,
very true, very true.
So it's like it's there's no good answer, and I think the only one I can think of is just like government control, saying like, okay, if this is a mixed income, like this is a mixed income neighborhood, like you have to have a certain amount of affordable housing, you have to have a certain amount of middle income housing, and you can have a certain amount of luxury housing, but like otherwise, real estate developers are just going to build luxury housing everywhere they can because that's how much money they make. Like that's when they make the most money. Sorry.
Yeah.
So if you leave it to the free market, it's just going to be people like Donald Trump throwing up luxury towers, and it's happening in downtown LA. Just throwing up luxury towers, making as much money as they can, as
Yeah, I mean,
opposed to
nobody can
servicing
afford those
people.
fucking apartments except drug dealers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nobody affording those fucking apartments. It's like I saw one just posted on a Facebook page. He's like, I'm moving out. It was like 6 grand for
Yeah.
one bed, one bath. He had a
And
high on a high rise in downtown. It's like, dude, nobody's paying that, man.
the craziest part is in like Vancouver, for example. they're mostly condos, so you can purchase them. Um, so all it is it's become just another stock. It's like you'll buy a condo in Vancouver, you'll never move in, you'll never ever ever go to your condo, and you'll just sit on it until it's valuable enough for you to sell again and make a profit off of it. So it like there's so much of this luxury housing that wasn't ever intended to be lived in. Like it's just there so that somebody can buy it and treat it like it's fucking cryptocurrency and sell it before they think the housing market is going to crash. So like
Wow.
we're literally we're literally pushing people out of places by building houses for no one. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. I have a few more. I know you got to get out of here, so I'm gonna try to rush through these last few.
These are great.
Um, this right here is the garden in Singapore. Um, that
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about things like this? I mean, apparently this is, from what I read, used to, get energy, solar energy, and they get a whole
Mhm.
bunch of power for the city through this. Does this look better than a parking lot, or would you not even want this in the wildlife? Do you think we should replace parking lots with fake trees that grow real trees? What
Big trees,
do you even know anything about
trees.
these?
Uh, I know Singapore is like the ideal garden city. Like people are trying to copy all of these things, and this does exist. Like this is the rendering of it, I think, or it's really that beautiful.
No, this is really a picture.
Uh,
This is an actual
wow.
picture. Those are real people down
Yeah,
here in the fucking corner of the tree. Yeah, no,
yeah.
this is how it looks.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, they've got the great tech. It's just about like people that like if it's if yeah, what is the purpose it's serving? Like one of the issues with suburbia was people thought that if you like just built a park where there was a green field, like people would show up and play on it. But it turns out human beings don't just get excited about a piece of grass. Like if you just lay out a big field and say like this is the local park, like people don't just show up and start running around on the grass. Most parks sit empty if there's not a reason for people to be there.
I don't know, man. You
Um,
put one out here in LA, we do get excited. That one on Hollywood, the only park with grass, like right up there on the hill, everybody is always there. Any grass in LA, I feel like we appreciate.
that's true because it'll always be close to people. Oh, you know what's the worst thing though? Bad grass is golf courses. There is a revisionist history episode by Malcolm Gladwell talking about how horrible golf courses are. Dude, I know we're getting to the end, so I won't get on this rant, but look it up. Golf courses are bad. And if you want to find out about good parks, read Death and Life of American Cities by Jane Jacobs, and she'll tell you exactly how and where you should place a park.
A golf part? I mean, are you against all golf courses? Period. Can we have a
I
couple?
fuck
Can us
golf.
golfers have a
Golf is
fucking couple? All right,
golf is fall off the
what
face of
about
the
your
planet,
fucking
and
soccer field,
everyone
huh?
would be better.
What about your fucking soccer field, huh? That's a big
Yeah,
chunk of grass that's wasted,
you're right.
huh?
You're right.
All
You're
right,
right.
well, yeah, how about you leave golf out of here, huh? Leave it
No, but
alone.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Soccer, when it's being used, 22 people are using that space, and it's a smaller space than a golf course. Golf courses, when they're being used, one person per hole, there's 18 of them, and it takes up a massive swath of land for 18 people. Fucking joke.
Yeah, but there's usually more than 18 people playing on it. And you know what? No, I'm not getting into the fucking golf debate with you again. No,
Listen,
Tiger
listen to me.
Woods is more
Listen to me.
athletic
Tiger Woods
and
can't
more
stand.
elite than Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next picture. This is a
All right.
metro. How does this make you feel?
Waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it. Oh, nice.
This is actually the metro. I forgot if I did Hong Kong or if I did Singapore. But anyways, yeah, it's the second best rated transportation system in the world. What are we doing? Why do you think we haven't caught up to this? Because apparently it's phenomenal. It's reduced traffic to essentially nothing. They have. Why did Singapore have it figured out and we are not? What do you think?
In the 1950s, I think it was under Eisenhower, the CEO, founder, owner of GMC, the car company, became the secretary of the Department of Interiors. So the owner of a car company became the guy who controls everything that happens within our nation, the physical environment within our nation. So he gave, well, there was the Federal Highway Act, which is where we built highways across the nation. And then GMC spontaneously started getting a lot of breaks, tax cuts, building more cars. And also, they started, a lot of people were doing electric rail, like the trolleys in San Francisco. Those were in every city. They weren't novelties; they were legitimate transportation systems. So we were a nation that had like transit systems like this. But again, we have the founder, CEO, owner of GMC sitting in one of the highest positions in our government, and he and his company would buy up these trolley companies and just make them like obsolete. They would destroy them, they would bankrupt them, they would just shut them down and replace everything with like roads for cars and encourage people to buy cars. So it was an inside job, and we're trying to recover from that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't even have to get into the inside jobs back in the day. I mean, Standard Oil, all those companies, monopolies. It's insane. What does this picture right here make you feel? Just give her one moment. There she is. How does what do you see here, and how does this make you feel?
Look how beautiful that car is.
Wait,
Oh.
what happened earlier? Mr. No Cars, Mr. Walk, Mr.
It's a hybrid.
What are we
It's a
doing?
hybrid.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. So how does it feel whenever you do have to eventually, every once in a while, fill that tank, huh? How does it make you feel, huh? That's the main that's the main question, huh? But
Dude, look how
this is
beautiful.
beautiful, huh? It's a little 2021. You gonna upgrade that bad boy, or what do you think your car future is now that we all know you're a fraud?
Hopefully none. I gotta buy a cheaper car, man.
Amen.
Everything about a car is expensive.
Oh yeah, I mean super expensive. I've been
Yeah,
having
I'm
to
gonna buy
drive
an
mine
18 wheeler.
forever. It's been fucking horrendous. It's every other day I got a different problem. I got to oil change. My shit's leaking oil. I got to bring it back. It's one thing after a fucking other. But
That's why we need to get rid of cars. They hurt people's wallets.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm looking for a job within walking distance. You know, but you know, you raised me well. What can I say? One last picture I want your thoughts on is this one right here.
God, I don't like that laugh. What's coming? Oh, dude, you know what? All right, I don't like Jake Paul the human being, but I fuck with Jake Paul the boxer.
Ah, all right,
I
interesting.
think, dude, like think
You're
about the
supposed to
fact that
talk a whole
Amanda
bunch of fucking
Serrano is
shit, Ben. You were supposed to talk a whole bunch of shit. I was trying to get this on TikTok. You can
no,
get a million
no,
dollar fight.
no.
You can get a million dollar fight.
Hot
I know you're
take.
talking about no brain damage, but how about brain damage for a million? Brain damage for a million? Any takers? Going once, going twice. I mean, come on, talk your shit, Ben. What the fuck are you doing? Uh but yeah, no, sorry. What were you
Dude,
saying? As a boxer, he is doing good.
yeah, he gives people money. He made Amanda Serrano a millionaire. Like he started a foundation that teaches kids to box to like build confidence and stuff. Like if he's using boxing to like clear his name of being a shithead in the past,
yeah.
it's not gonna work. Like he's still a shithead.
Yeah, my only
But
thing about the
he's
bullying thing is he promotes no bullying, but he bullies everybody into taking these fights and talks about turning them into a meme after. And that just confuses me as a person. I don't fully
yeah,
understand. I don't fully grasp it, but I like it, you know? I mean, he's making fucking moves. And also,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree with
as much
Jacob
as I
GG.
enjoyed fucking
Fire the human bad.
yeah, the boxer fired the human bad. We all know, but I mean, who knows what the future holds for the kid?
What's
But
up with his teeth?
also,
Why
I think this is mouthpiece.
oh, oh yeah.
Uh, come on, dude, you're a boxer, man. What's your deal? Uh, but no, I also think as much as I enjoyed fucking Frank Gore and what's his name going at
Darren
it,
Williams.
Darren Williams. As much as I enjoyed that, I think we could replace that with like some more boxers, that
Oh,
aren't
absolutely.
Amanda.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. Like, well, he's in boxing before he does go on this little MMA track.
I mean, both
Could have seen
Tyron
more
Woodley fights
boxers,
were
you
also
know.
really bad. Like, because even before his knockout of Woodley in the second fight, like it was
Oh
just a
yeah,
shit fight.
it was
Nothing was happening.
horrible. It was horrible.
At the end of the day, yeah, definitely would rather watch like, dude, Tiafimo versus Kambosos was unbelievably
Oh yeah,
good.
that was
Fury
phenomenal.
versus Wilder, unbelievable. Like watching good boxers
When he
box
put
is
him
fun,
down, all of us jumped. I mean, every single one of us
dude.
jumped
Yeah,
up out of our
that was
seats. Like
nuts,
second
nuts.
round, well, second or third round,
First
like
round.
first round.
You're
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
Tiafimo Kambosos? Yeah, first
Kambosos.
round.
Yeah, that shit was nuts. But anyways, that's all I got, Ben. That's all I got.
This is fantastic.
Yeah,
I love
I thought this went pretty good. I enjoyed it. Thanks for being my first guest.
Dude, I
Uh,
can't believe this is your first one. This is so much fun. So
yeah,
much fun to be a part of. You got
I'm
the It's Lab and Jake and Gigi too.
yeah. I mean, actually, Lab's probably gonna be in here next week. He's a correctional officer, and we're gonna pick his brain a little bit. We're
Holy
gonna
shit.
keep this going.
I
But
want to hear about
yeah, yeah. I mean that's gonna be next week. I'll let you know.
it. Yeah.
If you're at work and you ain't got nothing to do, you can tune in, listen to it a little bit. But yeah. Appreciate this, Ben. It means a lot. Thanks.
Dude, appreciate you. This is a great project. I'm stoked to keep following it.
Yeah, I'm stoked to do it. Hopefully we keep it going. I'll definitely keep it going. Hopefully we just don't run out of shit to figure out. And
Never.
next time, if you're ever on here again, talk a little more shit, man. Talk a little more Jake Paul shit. I'm trying to get you $1 million fight, man. I tried so
Fuck
hard.
you, Jake Paul.
I tried
Just
so.
just
There we go.
cut
Thank you.
this
Thank
part.
you. Thank you.
Cut
Jake Paul.
Fuck you,
Jake
Jake
Paul.
Paul, you little
Yeah.
pussy.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. He
Lick
wants
my
the
nipple,
hands.
bitch.
He wants the hands. He's been boxing for a little bit. No.